YouTube. Mike Wang just dropped some banger of news over the past couple of days, and I'm going to go over every single news/tweet that he dropped. So I'm going to get right into it. Like the video, subscribe if you're new. This is your everybody's favorite point guard, Geethers, and we'll get right into it, okay? So the biggest gem that he has dropped today, or over the past couple of days, the very first thing he announced was there will be no RNG in shooting. He said, and I quote, "No, there will be no RNG in shooting. There has always been some element of RNG in every past version of NBA 2K, including 2K24, but NBA 2K26 will be the first version to feature a completely pure green window on pro or lower difficulties. You can still make whites, quote unquote, but otherwise it's green or miss." So obviously this is the biggest news of the whole video, and this is amazing, right? We finally are getting a pure green window. And, he said before that, games like 2K19 had pure green windows, but those still had a tiny bit of RNG if you got on the edge of the green window. But this year, it's a fully pure green window, so this is great. Now, obviously, it makes it easier for cheaters to cheat, but you should not punish 95% of the player base for 5% of the player base, right? And hopefully they have a real anti-cheat as well, to where they can, permanently ban people immediately before, this type of stuff happens. After a couple weeks of the game, hopefully we're already seeing some bans of the people that are cheating. But this is wonderful. This is going to make a better gameplay experience for everybody, right? Now, moving on, we're trying to move through these pretty fast. I can be kind of long-winded when I talk about this stuff, but he has a lot of gems that he dropped. So another big one is, are there instant greens in NBA 2K26, was the question asked to him. And he says, yes, this year we made the jump shot, sellies, and shot feedback dynamic based on the quality of the shot, and factors in the shooter's ratings, defensive coverage, and shot timing or tempo for rhythm shots. So if you have an excellent release on a wide open shot with a good shooter, you'll get an insta green. So this is a little bit weird. This is kind of like, sometimes it's going to be insta green, sometimes there's not. Sometimes maybe if I hit a 25% contested shot, it won't, and I green it, it won't be insta green. I don't really know how I like it, but I don't think it's not something that's make or break for me. I personally do like the insta greens, but we'll have to see how it plays out, okay? Next up, question was, are there different shot meter options? And he said, yes, all the shot meter options for 2K24 and 2K25 are still available, and then including the new one that we have all seen in all these different trailers, right? So not too big of a deal, just multiple jump shot meter options. That's cool. This is a big one for me personally. Are there any changes to the contest system? And he says there have been a number of changes to the contest system logic. We've rebalanced the effectiveness of hands up, no jump contest, and jumping contest to better reflect how shots are impacted in real life. We're also showing coverage percentages and full shot feedback again. Now, that doesn't really tell us if the contest system is better or not, right? But what it does tell us is, one thing that I really love is showing the coverage percentages and the shot feedback again. It just makes sense, right? I shouldn't have to just guess, In 2K25, a weak contest could be a decent or pretty good contest, or it could mean like I barely was even there. You never really know if you're getting a good contest or not. So, showing the actual percentage of the contest, I feel like just helps you. And I like that. Because, I know if I actually did get a good contest or just an okay contest, right? So hopefully the contest system is a little bit better, because this year I definitely did not like it. But moving on, his next question was, are there any changes to how adrenaline bars work? And Mike Wang said, adrenaline will function very close to what you've used from NBA 2K25, but there have been some minor tweaks. For example, if you spam too many escape moves in a short amount of time, it will drain a bar. So not too big of a deal. Pretty much the same thing we've been used to with adrenaline the past couple years. Moving on, somebody asked, is there still a high/low risk reward setting? And he said, no. The shot and layup timing risk reward settings have been removed. So everybody will be on the same playing field of 2K26. I think this is a W. This goes right into what them saying they want more skilled gameplay. Moving on, they asked, how do height/attribute restrictions work for the custom layups? And he says, height and rating restrictions are similar to 2K25 for the new custom layup packages. But if you qualify for a specific player's layup package in NBA 2K25, you'd qualify for all of that player's individual normal, reverse, quick scoop, floater, euro, hop, and spin packages in NBA 2K26. So pretty much what I expected, right? Nothing too crazy when it comes to the layup package. It's going to be the same thing, except it's all going to be custom now. So that's still a W. moving on, the next question was, can you use the new quick protect feature even without a defender reaching in on you? And does it use adrenaline? And they said you can use it anytime you want to, even if no one's around, and it does not consume adrenaline. So I think this is nice. This is I hope this is a true combat to somebody just spamming X, right? If I'm timing my quick protects right as a ball handler, hopefully they can't just still pluck the ball from me through those quick protects, right? So we're going to see if it's really overpowered and people aren't going to be able to get steals anymore, or it might not be good at all, but hopefully it's somewhere in that middle ground range. Next question was, people are very mad about offense, and me included. In the 2K25, the offense getting the loose ball all the time. And, I feel like sometimes I can just get a steal or a pluck on somebody and they're just all the time plucking the ball away from me. Or, I'm sorry, I'm getting a pluck on somebody and they're getting to the ball first. Or they lose the ball, but they're still getting to it first, right? It makes no sense. But basically, Mike Wang said ball handlers will be stunned for a moment when they get the ball poked away from them, and bigs will play a slight stumble if they're heavily contested / blocked under the rim to give the defense an edge in recovering the 50-50 ball. I think that's good and that's necessary. I think that's a great addition. He also was asked about the dunk meter, and will the green window on the dunk meters move dynamically based on the contest system, the same way layups do, or will it be the same as 2K24, where the green was always the same from the start of the dunk? And they said that the dunk meter green window will adjust dynamically like layups. So hopefully it's like a middle ground between 2K24 and 25. Like 2K24 dunk meter was OP, and I could just dunk meter on everybody. And then 2K25, it sucked. And layup and dunk meter was very inconsistent. You never really knew if you were taking a good dunk or layup or not. So hopefully it's a good middle ground between the two. The next question was, are there any changes made to address the LT/L2 dexing? And Mike Wang said, we've made efforts to reduce the unrealistic motion / cuts that can result from dexing. Attempting to use dexing to cut back and forth repeatedly will consume adrenaline. I think that is a W. The gameplay nowadays in Park, with the LT and L2 dexing around a center holding LT and screens, it's annoying. It's not fun to watch. I don't know how people have fun playing like that, I'll be honest with you. So hopefully, and dexing's been a problem always. I mean, not a problem always, but it's very unrealistic because the defender can't keep up with it half the time, right? So hopefully that's a good change. Can anyone do a quick catch and shoot, or does it have attribute / badge requirements? And he says anyone can perform the quick catch and shoot mechanic. There are no restrictions. So basically, the no dip catch and shoots, I think those are going to look pretty cool. You've always been able to hold LT to shoot the ball, but I think this is going to be a little bit different than what people are expecting. It's going to be actually like a no dip catch and shoot 3, like people like Nicholas Batum do, Klay Thompson, etc. Are there any changes to dunking? Now this is a big one, and this year the dunk meter is going to be slightly different. So Mike Wang said yes, holding turbo and the pro stick down, so RT or R2 I believe on PlayStation, with your right stick down, is how you meter dunk in 26. Basically, that's pretty much before like the meter dunking and stuff came out. That's how I always dunked anyway, because as a kid growing up playing 2K, I always wanted to do the flashy dunks, and how you did your flashy dunks and your cool dunks out of your dunk packages was your right stick and with your holding RT with your right stick down. So now that's going to be your dunk meter this year. And it says this will also encourage more flashy dunks, but you can also get flashy dunks on the shot button if you're wide open with no trailing threat. But it says the meter dunk logic has changed a lot, and you'll notice a much bigger green window on open dunks, both driving and standing. I think that's amazing, because I shouldn't have a very tiny green window on a wide open driving dunk on a fast break. You know what I mean? So I think that's a W. We'll have to see it, because I love using dunk meter, and I'm a big slasher myself, and I like to get to the rim, dunk to the ball, get paint touches and pass out to my teammates. And me being able to make these dunk meters and punish people trying to play late help defense is big for the way I play personally. So I hope dunk meter is a lot better this year, and I hope it is like a mix between 24 and 25. It doesn't have to be OP, but a good happy medium between the two would be amazing. So rhythm shooting. They asked, how does rhythm shooting and button shooting compare? Now this is a big one for me, because I guess me and some of my boys are kind of like old heads, and we on 2K25 we really did not like to rhythm shoot. I've been trying to do it here at the end of the year a little bit more, but one of our buddies loves rhythm shooting, and he's turned into a way better shooter because of it. But we like just a good old-fashioned X button, right? And basically Mike Wang said the goal was to make both rhythm and button shooting viable options with neither having an advantage over the other, which obviously says that's the goal. I doubt that's going to be the case, but he says that's the goal. And then he says, but there are very different mechanics, so it's not really possible to directly compare them. He said some will have a much better time with the button and some will have a much better time with the stick. But Mike Wang says rhythm shooting is definitely more rewarding in his opinion. Obviously, it's going to be. This year was way more rewarding. You have way more of a chance to green shots through the RNG. But on this one, on this 2K, hopefully hopefully neither has an advantage over the other. But with how they're talking about, you can speed up and slow down your jump shot with the right stick, with your stick shooting, and still hit it somehow. That still was vague to me, and I still don't understand. He has another thing he'll talk about it in this video, but it's still weird to me, and we're gonna see. But I still don't like it, and I still think Rhythm Shoot is gonna be more overpowered than X. But hopefully, it's not as quite as overpowered as it was in 2K25. And moving on, as we're talking about rhythm shooting, somebody asked, how does it work? He's like, can you still green a shot with early or late timing? And basically, he had a very long-winded answer, and I'll just read it all to y'all and see what y'all think. He says, rhythm shooting is basically all about mastering your shot's unique tempo. There's still an ideal timing point for when to push the pro stick, but you don't have to green the timing to make the shot. However, the better you time the release, the more wiggle room you have to match the tempo. The shot timing of the right stick movement and the speed of the stick throw will also affect how the animation plays out. So if you start the push early or throw the stick fast, you'll see the shooter rush the animation. If you delay your push, you'll see the player hold the set point and hang a bit before starting the shooting motion. And if you throw the stick too slowly, you'll see a lazier looking follow through. It's great if you need to intentionally rush your shot to beat a closeout or a low shot clock, but your green tempo window will be much smaller. So it still doesn't make sense to me, because how am I changing my entire jump shot but I still have a green window? It makes no sense to me, and I think it's going to be very busted when the game comes out, if I'm being honest with you. Just knowing 2K, and they're going to have to make some changes to that, because if I can still, every time I shoot with the right stick, then my jump shot's different, but I can still green it. I have a big green one. I don't know. I think it's going to be overpowered, and I will probably try to start stick shooting it as soon as the game comes out, because I think it's going to be overpowered. So moving on, for your dribble heads out there, they were asked, are there any changes to dribbling besides the new controls for signature size ups? And Michael Wing said, dribbling has changed a lot in NBA 2K26. Branching and chaining moves will generally feel more responsive, and you can interrupt more moves than you could in 25. We made an effort to make dribbling faster and the inputs more responsive as well. You'll find some great new content as well as the return of some old favorites, example, Pippin's behind the back wrap. So I think dribble heads will be able to create some nice highlights this year. Every year dribble heads are going to figure out how to dribble. I play point guard, but I'm not a big dribble head myself, but you're going to find the moves that are effective and work for you. And they said they're trying to make dribbling faster, which is a W, which they're trying to make the whole game feel faster. So that should, in my opinion, help the dribbling regardless. So another question they asked was, since double tapping circle/B is a wrap passes now, can you still do flashy passes? And if you didn't know, they introduced the wrap passes to where you can maybe get some passes around defenders to a spot up shooter or something like that by double tapping B or circle. But now flashy passes have been moved to A plus B at the same time, or X plus circle on PS5. And self alley-oops are now mapped to squares plus triangle / X plus Y. So just a couple of different things. Like, it's going to take some getting used to that, especially the flashy passes. I'd like throwing a lot of flashy passes, and A and B is, I'm used to you up double tapping B for that, but it's just, all that is muscle memory. It's giving us more options, so I can't complain about something like that. You have more pass options, and you just have to get used to a couple different controls better. But moving on, they have a question about the green rebounding, and they were asking, if you don't green a rebound, can you still get it? What happens when two people both green a rebound? And I'm glad he went over this, because a lot of people were taking this extremely out of context for no reason. And he says you can still grab a rebound if you don't green the timing. And if a little player is trying to out-rebound a big, excellent timing will often not even be enough to secure the rebound. Because obviously, if I'm a 6'3" player and I green a rebound and the center does not green the rebound, but he's 7 foot, he should still be getting the rebound over me, especially if he has a box out and good positioning and everything, right? But he does say if the big makes zero effort and just stands there, the little guy will have a better chance with perfect timing. And they said if two players green the rebound timing, the outcome is decided by positionings, rating, and height. So And he also says the core mechanics around how rebounding works isn't changing in 26. Timing your jump has always been an important aspect of rebounding. The indicator was added just to help players understand how rebounding works. I don't think it's I mean, like most people who play the game know how to rebound, but it's also like, I get it for new players, you know? It's just, I guess, a quality of life thing. It doesn't really affect us that much. It's not going to be any different. Now, the one thing I will say is I wish they changed it a little bit, because I just don't like people just trying to have a 9-9-0 board and, you know, sprinting at the rim and getting Superman rebounds over people. You know what I mean? Especially in the rec and pro-am instance, you know, good positioning and good boxing out half the time is usually not rewarded, right? But hopefully this changes a little bit. But as he says, the core mechanics about rebounding didn't change in 26. So we'll see. But a man can only hope that good positioning can actually be rewarded this year. Another question was, is the size of the green window different for no dip compared to regular catch and shoots? Those being the fast catch and shoots. And he said the green window is the same as regular shots. But he said it's possible that could change in the future. I believe, me personally, I would maybe like if the green window for the no dip and the fast catch and shoots were a bit smaller, just because you're getting the shot off faster. It would make sense for it to be a harder shot to make. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have to be like ridiculously hard, but I would like it for it to be a little bit smaller. Have there been any changes to baseline sensitivity? This is a big one, because sometimes, in 2K25 specifically, but this is a thing every year, right? But sometimes you can see people, they were just dribbling all around the sideline and the baseline and trying to, cut backdoor from the corner or dribble backdoor past somebody in the corner, and sometimes they're going out of bounds every time, right? And then other times they're just flirting with that baseline and somehow not going out of bounds at all. And he says, yes, there was an improvement to address the baseline sensitivity, especially when attempting baseline layups. So we will see, hopefully it's consistent, hopefully it's not somebody just able to get some crazy invisible wall and run into it multiple seconds and not go out of bounds, lose the ball, and then other times they just run out of bounds immediately. Hopefully it's consistent with that, whatever it is. Another one, this is honestly kind of big for me, because especially for people that play like the 1v1 court and stuff, is that can we pull the chair when being back down in the paint? Because you've been able to do that before, but it's inconsistent. It doesn't work every time. But now he says, yes, you can pull the chair in the post by just tapping circle/B when the offensive player makes contact with you. So now, obviously, hopefully it's not too OP, but it's nice, especially if I'm on if I'm on a guard, a 6'4" guard, for instance, and I have a 7-foot center backing me down on a switch or something, and we can't switch back at the time. It'd be nice to be able to do something to combat it a little bit. Now, obviously, it shouldn't work every single time, but that is something that could be good for post play, not just post players, but smaller defenders trying to guard post players. Another question was asked, will there be a boost for turning the shot meter off? And he said, yes, turning off the shot meter will slightly increase the size of the green window. That's good. I mean, that's been in the game for since 2K20 now. That's always good. I like that, rewarded players for not having to use the meter. And a lot of players don't use the meter anymore, so that's only going to help me, so I can't complain about that at all. One of the question was, can you cancel out of the new post go-to shots? And he said yes, for the post go-to shots that have a dribble, you can go into it and then cancel like the regular go-to shots. Nothing too crazy. Kind of just like the regular go-to shots, how people use them to do dribble moves and stuff this year. Probably be the same for the post ones. One big one right here is he was asked, are there any changes to pluck steals and lane steals? And he said on-ball steal targeting and steal animations have been improved to reward defenders who position themselves well and anticipate the dribbler's moves. The canned quote-unquote animation pluck steals have been almost entirely disabled. Pass interceptions have been tuned a bit, but are similar to effectiveness in 2K25. This one's kind of confusing, the way he explains it, but pass steals, in my opinion, weren't. I remember the start of 2K25, they were crazy overpowered. People were just getting every single one of them. But after that, I mean, they're in a pretty good place, I would say. I mean, sometimes passes can just go right through your hands, like always, but they're not going to give you every single steal, right? And I know if I have a 99 steal and I'm playing the pass lane well, I should be getting the steals, but you have to give a little and take a little, right? But the pluck steals are the ones that are a little weird, because what we talked about earlier with, getting a pluck and then the offensive player picking that ball right back up, that should be fixed this year. And then also, it seems like what I'm seeing here is people aren't going to be able to just spam X, right, and take the ball from you. They have to actually going to have to play you how a real defender should, right? Like anticipate where your dribble moves are going to be, time your steals, and try to get those bumps and stuff on you. It seems like it's trying to just be more of a skill gap thing with steals, and not just me spamming X and randomly getting stuck in an animation as the ball handled and them stealing the ball. It seems like it's going to really just be like those kind of like bump steals type of thing. So we'll see how it is. It's probably either going to be, honestly, at the beginning of the year, it's either going to be way too OP and people are going to get every steal. Plus, obviously, at the beginning of the year, nobody has badges and stuff yet anyway, so people get all the steals. Or it's not going to give you enough steals. So we'll see. Hopefully, it's a happy medium in between. Next question was, can you do no-dip catch and shoots and team control modes, like modes like My Team and Play Now? He said yes. It's the same way you do it as normal in my career. Excuse me. It's just as soon as you initiate the pass, start holding LT/L2 as you receive the ball with the other player, and it'll go into it. Next one is, are there any changes to burst and changes in direction for ball handlers? And this is big, and they said that we spent some time tuning the dribbler's ability to start, stop, and cut. The speed and tightness of changing direction will vary based on ratings and dribble style. So I think this just also goes back into them asking about, the speed and quickness of dribbling itself, and it seems like it's going to be a lot faster, so we will see. Another one is, this is a big one for me too. Are there any improvements to standing dunks? Because I really do think they needed to rework it, and it says they have, as we've reworked the logic for standing dunks to make them more reliable for bigs who aren't too crowded under the rim. We've also returned standing dunk skill dunks to have generally larger green windows to compensate for how fast most of those dunks are. Which I agree, like a standing dunk meter, especially this year with how inconsistent the 2K25 dunk meter was, they are very, very fast compared to driving dunks. You don't have a lot of time to react, right? So they should have a little bit of a bigger green window, but also they are just like they're weird and inconsistent even when you're not crowded under the rim. Like you can be very like wide open. All 9 other players from your team and the other team are on the other side of the court, and it's hard to still green a standing dunk meter, right? So hopefully they're not too OP and people are just all these centers and post scorers and even like backdoor cutters are just getting dunk meter after dunk meter every time over people. But like I said, happy medium between 24 and 25, right? So next question is, I don't really like this one, is do motion styles have an effect on gameplay? Me personally, I think motion styles are stupid, but I get why they do it, for the realism and the pro play stuff. But it says, yes, motion styles are driven by pro play, just like the dribble styles. So some styles will naturally be quicker and more explosive than others, which is just going to be annoying because everybody's going to just try to find the best motion style and use that. Because I'm sure like people like 2K Lab and stuff going to have to run tests and stuff because it's big disadvantages and advantages based on your motion style. But the one good thing I will say about it is for NBA 2K26, they've added rating gates, so you need higher attributes to equip the more effective styles. So we'll see how that works, and what the animation gates are. Like, does it have to do with my speed, my height, like dribble, like what does it have to do with, But next one is, are there any other new passing controls? And they apparently have added another new passing feature. He said, for 2K26, they added a contextual auto lob passes, and with this new auto lob to moving passes controller setting enabled, pressing the normal pass button or icon passing will throw lob passes to moving receivers in situations where a normal chest pass will be more prone to getting intercepted. It said advanced playmakers who only want to throw lob passes by pressing their triangle or Y will want to set this option to disabled in the controller settings menu. So basically, I think what it's saying is if I press A and I'm passing to somebody, 2K is gonna like detect if it's better to do a regular chest pass or a lob pass. Me personally, I'm not letting 2K detect that for me. If I want to do a lob pass, I'll do a lob pass and I'll just press Y. And if I want to do a regular pass, I'll press A, right? So I will definitely be disabling that immediately because I don't need 2K dictating the type of pass I'm going to make. I want to do that myself. So I think it's a cool add-on for casual players, but for me, I'm not going to be enabling that. Another one, and this is the last one, is, I can't really see it, but somebody asked they wanted to kind of do like the little Kyrie double behind the back, moving behind the back to get to the rim. And he said you'll be able to do this by chaining 2 driving behind the backs together. So that's pretty cool. Just another new dribble move. And that is it. So that is all the news that Michael dropped. This is a long video. I'm already 25 minutes in because that's how much he dropped. So I wanted to wait a couple days after he dropped the first news because he just kept dropping every day. And who knows, maybe he drops more. But if I had to imagine, that was probably it. But I want to thank y'all for watching. There's some big news, a lot of W's in here. I'm really looking forward to this next 2K. And like I said, I'm making a whole lot of videos for y'all, build videos, a lot of Rec and Pro-Am content that y'all have never even seen before on YouTube. Because I'm telling y'all, me and my boys have so many ideas that people have never done in the 2K community. So it's gonna be fun. And I want to thank y'all for watching. I'm here for all the news for y'all until 2K26 comes out, and I'm not gonna, BS y'all or anything. I'm gonna give you all the real news that you need, not dropping a video every day about stuff that's not important, right? So I want to thank y'all for watching. It's everybody's favorite point guard, Geethers, and I'm out. Peace.